I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello, and welcome to the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, season 35, episode 20. My name is Kimmy.
My name is Adam.
And my name is Vixie.
In today's episode, Sean from New York asks how to GM a game for adult jocks who haven't played TTRPGs before. Jeff in Tennessee shares how to keep that GMing spark. It's a response to a previous email. And from the archive 2021, Gergmerg talks GURPS and asks what we like in a magic system. If you'd like to contribute a question or story to the show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com, or you can post in the mailbag channel on the Discord. And you can find the Discord at happyjacks.org/Discord. I can talk, it's fine.
Oh,
All right.
So many
Announcements.
slashes. It's
Slashes,
like a Freddy
I know.
Krueger
Slash,
movie.
slash.
Goodness. Yeah.
yes.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Announcements. JackerCon is coming up in early August. Dates are going to be announced soon. Well, we might do a poll. It kind of depends. There's a high JackerCon council who helps arrange it. JackerCon is a full weekend of free online gaming. It's like game days, but on steroids. It's many days of gaming. It's super great. It's a tradition that goes back a long time. We use all our same safety tools and everything for JackerCon. So all the things that you are used to having in a game days and are really safe online play community and culture is all there. It's just many days.
And if you're constantly GMing and just want to play, we always have way more GMs than we need. So if you can play, you don't have to run a game.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Exciting.
So amazing. So good. And so, keep an eye on that. Again, on Discord, we'll be announcing most of it. We'll also be talking more about it. So keep an eye out for that. Also, me and Kai are up for some crit awards.
Yay!
This is the first time on the podcast I've been nominated for a month. This is the first time I've remembered to actually say it on the podcast.
Yay!
Yay. So voting is open until June 30th, which is one more week. And we created a redirect to the ballot. So if you want to vote really easily, you can go to happyjacks.org/crit. Yay! I'm up for Best Podcast Host for The Advice Show.
Yeah.
I'm also nominated for Outstanding Community Member. It's that one's an actual award. It's not I don't know. It's different. That one actually has the word award in the title. And that's for my work. That's for my work on the Gamma DEI committee. Co-chairing the Gamma Horizons Fellowship, which is a sponsorship and mentorship program for marginalized game tabletop creators, and then our work here spotlighting indie designers of the month. So that's very exciting. And Kai is up for Best Player in an indie game for Road and Outrunners, which I GM'd. It was great.
Yeah.
For Best Player for Kobold Press, for Hashiro on the Bad House RPG Network, and then
Nice.
Best Makeup and Costume, surprising nobody, in their Doomsayers campaign.
Yes.
So go vote.
Nice.
Again, happyjacks.org/crit will redirect you to the Google form, which is the actual way to vote. So we're not
Yay.
phishing you or anything. It just will send you to a Google form. And then Patreons. I'm posting some updates about streamlining the process of having you on the credit screen. The credit screen is updated. So keep an eye out for an update with more information about that and our updated backlog access for those of you supporting at those tiers. Yeah, cool. Okay. Indie Designer of the Month. I feel like I'm talking so much today. Last week, I didn't get to tell you because I was coming in hot from a convention, literally, ridiculously fast. Our Indie Designer of the Month for June is J Dragon. She Nun from Possum Creek Games. Yay! Jay is a disabled trans woman who's become quite well known in the TTRPG scene for her work on Wanderhome and Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast. Possum Creek Games was picked up as an imprint of Steve Jackson Games a few months ago, But we're still having Jay as an indie designer of the month because technically we invited her to be an indie designer before that happened. Still indie. And we are delighted. We're going to spend June spotlighting some of her lesser known work because everybody knows Wander Home and Yazeba's Bed and
Yes.
Breakfast. It doesn't need any more accolades from the likes of us. So you can find more information about her on Blue Sky at jdragsky. And you can find them on find her on jdragsky.tumblr.com. I don't know if that's how it's actually pronounced, but that's how it's spelled. It's JDRAGSKY. So that's why I'm saying it like that, because that'll be the easiest way for you to actually find it on the interwebs. You can support her at patreon.com/Possum Creek, and you can of course get the games at possumcreekgames.itch.io.
Yay.
Today's product that we were talking about is called Ghosts of Quiet Places. Very few humans become ghosts. Humans, full of sloshing sounds and mucus-filled organs, lack the internal solitude to become a ghost. Ghosts are made when quiet places die. A quiet place might be a mouse, or a fragile bird, or a corner of a room, or a magic spell, or a vast silent mountain. Quiet places die all the time without us even knowing, and their ghosts clutter up the world. This game is a short meditation on queer fatalism and the forms of queer existence that aren't included under the boisterous celebration of Pride. It was written for Pride Jam 2019. It is a lasers and feelings hack that's 2 pages long, and you can get it when you name your own price at possumcreekgames.itch.io.
I know what game I'm getting.
I just loved the description of that one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Yes.
things about the Indie Designer of the Month is like perusing through the itch.io page and being like, what name, what title, or what art, or what little concept like grabs at my attention. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yes.
it's like the power of picking. Haha.
100%.
And this one, just like the Ghosts of Quiet, it's just such a neat little evocative
Yeah.
title.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out.
100%.
Mhm.
Oh, and can I just say, like, it didn't Jay Dragon also create a new kind of safety tool that was were they the one that created the grid method?
Yeah, they
Mhm.
did that too.
Yeah,
So,
I thought that was a really interesting approach to safety.
Yeah.
Because it definitely opens up the conversation
Mhm.
about safety. So just wanted to point that out too.
Yeah, it's like a quadrant, so you can put
Mhm.
things in the where you put different things on the quadrant tells you how much you want it to be in the game and your
Oh,
comfort
okay.
level with it.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
Yeah,
something
it's like
that
a gradient.
yeah.
got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
But the difference is like the Happy Jacks Lines and Veils is an actual gradient, but it's still
Mhm.
designed for people to kind of fill out on their own. The quadrant
Right.
is like it to be kind of like a discussion. I think we talked about it
Yes.
when it like
Was
first got
first
released. I
introduced.
think so, but I'm not sure. I think it was on the Advice Show like a couple months ago. It was a few months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's an interesting tool.
Mhm.
And yeah, some people have had really great success with it.
Yep.
All right. Mailbag number 1. I am not reading it.
Okay, roll. Time for rollies. No, I can read it
You
if
want
you
this
would
one,
like.
Dixie?
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Mailbag number 1. Hey, Kimmy and the assembled jackers. Ooh, that
That's
makes me
us.
feel important. Yeah, that's us. Answering the call for more emails with this seeking of advice. For context, I'm going to be going on a trip with my father and a bunch of folks in October to a house out in the Poconos. Most of these guys are in their 40s to 60s and are very much sports guys, not RPG nerds from what I understand of the crowd. That said, I'm going to be bringing a scenario with me to run using the index card RPG system. Ooh. The scenario is going to be pretty linear and culminate in a dragon fight because that's awesome. I agree. Right now, what I'm looking for advice on is things to keep in mind running a game for an entire table of new adult players. Because while I've run for players who are new to a system, I haven't GM'd for someone who has no prior TTRPG experience, let alone a full table. Please and thank you for the advice. Askew, aka Sean from New Jersey. P.S. I'll try to send an update afterwards with how it went. P.P.S. Obligatory snickering. All right then.
Nice. Well,
Ooh.
first of all, you're very brave. Go for it.
Also, I am
Jeez.
fascinated by, like, I don't think I've ever heard the Poconos referred to in anything but, like, a movie.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an actual place that people go
It
to.
is.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
For
Yeah.
vacations.
I
Right?
mean,
Yeah.
I kind of knew it was real, but it seems like a pretend place.
Right,
I
yeah.
feel like Hollywood to other people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
like they're like, oh,
Mhm.
Hollywood. Like, it's like the Poconos.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
very fun to say.
Like St. Martha's Vineyard. It's
Yeah.
another
Yes.
one. Like,
Yeah.
like it's
The
not
Hamptons.
real. It's just a place people talk about to sound snooty.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Hamptons.
Yes,
The
the
Hamptons.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know. I only like hear of those places on TV as well. And,
Yes.
but yeah, so one of the things I would say with this is keep it simple. If this is a bunch of 40 to 60-year-old guys, I'm making some assumptions based on the fact that they're not gamers. So they're probably not going to be so much into the role playing. They're probably going to be more into the combat and the stats and that fiero of hitting the dragon with their sword. So I would say just don't worry too much if they don't really get into character. It's probably a good start to just get them to enjoy having fun rolling dice and describing what they're gonna do.
Yeah, just hit stuff.
Yeah.
Just hit it. Just fight the
Just hit
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they're interested in character development and more stuff like that, then that's great. That'll probably come out, and they'll do it whether they're asked to or not.
Yeah. I
but,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah. I also
True.
think I'm a huge fan of having pre-made characters in situations like that.
Yes.
Or
I
like,
was just-
yeah, go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. We're right here.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
That
the
would make
same.
your life a lot
The same.
easier.
Yeah, and then all they have to do is kind of pick their flavor. They don't have to sit through and like do the choices or whatever. And like I haven't done like the index card RPG system. I've looked at it, but I haven't done it.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the like details of it. It's very simple, which is a good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but keep it as streamlined as possible and just have it like out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, I would say if you can try to have some visuals, because especially for people who aren't used to using their imagination, it can really spark things a lot better to have some pictures to show them, like oh, this is what this dragon looks like, this is what this goblin boss looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that that might help engage them a little more than just trying to like picture a dragon, and a lot of people who don't game don't really know where to start. We lose a lot of that after we stop being children, and and if you don't practice it by being a nerd like us, you don't always have it.
It's not innate. Yeah, it doesn't become an innate skill and especially like visualizing for people is it's very hard if you're not like a nerd. Something that I would recommend too is if you can get your hands on a mini dry erase board. It's a great thing to have when you need to make a map on the spot, because when I run games at Strategicon, that's actually a tool that I bring with me, so that when I run games, I'm like, cool, this is what this place looks like. And it doesn't have to be Picasso or a Monet or anything. Literally like circles and squares and some dotted lines, you're good. Like, so that people know where they are and where things are in relationship to them. That is super helpful. For people.
Yeah.
So.
Even if you're using theater of the mind, that is so vital. There's so many times where I've been describing something and then it becomes really clear at the table, no matter, like, I think I've done a very good job of describing the situation, and it becomes very clear. The players are like, wait, no, I thought I was standing next to it. No, I was standing next to it. And in my head, they were like on both sides of it, but they were picturing. So it's like having just like that little diagram. It doesn't even have to be grids. It doesn't have to be anything. Really, really helps in all situations.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they're sports people, they might be familiar with the whole idea of like the X's and the O's, and and the arrows and
defense.
Yeah.
Defense. Oh my god.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was like, it would be funny to see this group play Targmargs, because that is also a really great little game.
Yeah.
But I think Targmargs might actually be a little more story focused. So this is still a good choice. It's funny watching a group of old dudes play like old grandmas at Target.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be really interested in. I mean, again, we're generalizing, but
Yeah.
based on your description, they're going to be very interested in combat. So I might even start the game with a small combat of
Yeah.
some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe just like
Yes.
a street level skirmish or something. Because I think
Mhm.
once they will be anticipating that.
Yeah.
So whatever you try and set up for your story is going to be like they're going to be waiting to fight something. So you might as well just get that out of the way. So, and then they have a little bit of like experience under their belts. They know how it kind of functions. So then when you actually start like the story piece, then there might be a little bit more of engagement because they're not just anticipating fighting things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're worried about the story dragging or anything like that, because sometimes that can happen with new players who don't know what they're doing, like, or sometimes they'll derail the story unwittingly if you really try and want to stay in that story. Sometimes what I do is I'll just start in media res. So when I speed ran Daggerheart, I had to run this game in 2 hours because I was back-to-back games. I stuck my players right in the dungeon and we're like, you're at a trap. Figure out how to get out of the trap. And then just put them like on that track and like kept them moving forward. And that I find that's a very effective way to keep the game moving
Yeah.
and not dragging, because the last thing you want is for these new players to get stuck in like the endless loop of either like forever decision making because they don't know how to approach a dragon, or they can't find the way that like you placed for them. They're like keep going to the wrong door or something. You want the story to keep moving forward. So I think that's important too, because that'll help make it a good experience for them if they feel like they're moving forward and not stuck in a kind of a what do we do situation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I was actually also going to suggest starting in media res.
Yep, we're here.
Yeah, it's like just open up. Like, okay, you guys are in an alleyway. You're surrounded by these hoodlums. That, like, they're about to find out they bit off more than they can chew. What do you do? I used to do that with when I would run masks, one shots, like because I loved the character generation of masks, so I'd actually spend like an hour and a half, even in a one shot, doing the character creation and the bonds, and then I'm like, okay, you're in the middle of the city and this bad guy is attacking, and the first shots have already been fired. What do you do? And just drop them right in the middle of the combat, and you don't need to build up a story to get into it. Sometimes it's fun to just start out guns blazing.
Yeah, and just jumping in the deep end.
Yeah.
So that they don't have time to be timid or think about maybe this is and get self-conscious too.
Right, yeah.
That's the other piece about it. People who haven't played TTRPGs before are very often very on their guard, especially if they're in a situation where they're with their longtime friends and they're worried about being judged. And so like jumping in and fighting, like they all just have to keep going.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Talking in character in a tavern can be intimidating in a way that, like, okay, this guy pulled a knife on you. That just puts you instantly in, oh, I got to do something. What do I have? I got a sword. I pull a sword. All right, hit him.
Yeah, there's no, am I doing this wrong?
Yeah.
Like it's very clear what you're supposed to do at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I honestly think that's why often, like we've gotten so many stories over the years where it was like the meet in the tavern moment, and then like the players started a fight, because I think often people are looking like they don't know exactly how to solve it, especially new TTRPG players, and it's like when you have a hammer, every problem is a nail. Like that's just what people want to do. They're like, I am a fighter. I will fight the thing, and you're like, that is a bartender. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like, and the bouncers are gonna be activated now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think another thing, just hyping up a little cheat sheet of the rules can be really, really
100%.
helpful, because people, when they don't feel like they have to ask how to do things every time, are more likely to try more interesting things.
Yeah.
Yep.
if they
It
feel
also helps if you have like two brain cells like me that don't always work.
yes,
So because we actually do that for my Magnus Archives game. We actually have a cheat sheet for Cypher because everyone playing the game is new.
yeah,
And it is so helpful. And really keeps people like they keep looking at the sheet to make sure they're doing things right
yeah,
and don't
especially
actually
for
ask unless
Cypher.
they're confused. Yeah. Yeah.
It is not a super streamlined system, like fun, but streamlined it is not.
No.
Yeah.
It's one of those like it's not hard to learn, but because it's the way it's set up is like the way Charlie Day's board is set up and it's always sunny,
Yeah.
it's deceptively complicated.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to hear an update on this. Like,
Yeah,
write,
same.
write it and tell us how it goes. Because it's,
For sure.
I think it's something that we all kind of dream of doing. Like, oh, my non-gamer friends want to try it finally. Like, and we want to do it and we want to have them enjoy it. But it's very different when you're playing with a whole table of people who have no idea how this works. So, but yeah, and I think one thing that I often fall back on, and I think most people can relate to, is describing things cinematically. Like, oh, we see a slow motion shot of you leaping into the air and stabbing downward with your sword, and those kinds of descriptions to sort of give them that feel of like, oh yeah, I did something cool. That can really help bring them into the moment. And if you can get them to describe how that looks, that's awesome. But if not, like, just give them that little visual so that they can start imagining it in their mind as this is the movie that we're playing out. And I think a lot of people can connect to that in a way that is more accessible.
Yeah. I wonder, since they're doing like a full weekend, if it might even be a good idea to find a movie in like the genre you're running and like have like movie night the night before or something like that, just to get them in that headspace, because it's easy for us to assume, oh, everybody knows how like a dragon works, like fighting a dragon. We've all seen a million movies like that, but there are some people who have not. They are not a fantasy genre person.
Yeah.
They
might
are not.
only so if they might only watch inspiring sports movies or whatever, everyone has their thing. So maybe having kind of that touch point or that reference point for them, and also it fills more time when you're hanging out like for a long weekend. And it sounds like it's a mix of like their dad and their dad's friends and their friends. It's like I don't know. I used to do these a lot with my family. Did these all the time, where I don't even know who some of the people were.
Like a family reunion?
It's just like get-togethers. Like we would all go like to trailers out in the middle of nowhere, because my family are rednecks, so this is what they do. And there's just other people's trailers there, and some of them are related to us, and some of them are not, and they just have trailers there too. And it was just like this big thing, and we all get together and hang out. And like so it might be good to have everyone have like that shared point of contact and like understanding of what this fantasy or whatever like genre it is. It sounds like, I think it's fantasy for the
I assume since there's a dragon.
I mean, dragon fight, right? Unless we're playing some kind of like Shadowrun, inspired
world's
game.
best detective, right? Best detective.
The dragon is actually the corpos. This is cyberpunk,
right?
Oh.
Doubtful, but it could be.
Yeah.
And then, in which case, you absolutely need to have a movie as a touch point.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Do not start them with Shadowrun.
No, please no. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Although there was
everybody just watches Bright. Like that's the movie.
Right? I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah, like it's the Shadowrun movie that was not Shadowrun officially.
No.
But I'm like, that's Shadowrun. You're right there.
Yep.
That whole movie.
It was a really great series of clips that were loosely strung together by a vague storyline.
Yeah, and very little like consistency in voice or tone. It's like one moment we're really sad and upset, and there's this terrible like racism, and then we're doing slapstick humor, and then you're like,
Yeah.
I was just
It's a little all over the place.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is sad. I really wanted it to be good. I was very excited
Yeah.
about like a fantasy
me
series.
too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
It could have been.
it
Really
was pretty
cool.
to look at. There was some. That's why I said it's a really great series of clips because if you view them as individual clips,
Yes.
these are great.
Yeah.
Right?
These are
Yeah.
fantastic cutscenes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Forget the rest of the game.
Right. Don't worry about the story.
Yeah,
It's
don't worry.
No.
It's fine. I mean, I feel like that's the thing that felt the most like a campaign to me, like because like tabletop campaigns have that weird tonal
Yeah.
shifts constantly.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
I was sort of like sitting there wondering because my husband doesn't really play TTRPGs, so and he's a movie person. He was like so upset about it, like what, how, and then I mean, eventually we got like the later like Marvel movies, and he's like, oh, okay, this is just a thing now. But at the time, I was like, this feels exactly like a regular tabletop campaign, which is not a good thing for a movie.
Right.
But
yeah.
if it was
yeah.
actually someone's campaign, it
Mhm.
probably would have really been a really great time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And tabletop can accommodate that in a much better way than movies can because you can shift on the fly. But when you're doing a movie, like you made it and it's out there, and if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regrets. Ugh.
Yeah. The home D&D game that I'm running right now, I told my players, I said, I want you all to aim for Lord of the Rings so that we land at Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. Oh my god, what's the meme where it's like what you expect and it's like the Knights of Camelot and what you get and it's actually like Monty Python's Camelot. Like
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For
geez.
sure.
All right.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
please send us an update. We would love to hear how it went, if it's already happened, if it hasn't yet. Maybe our advice will help. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yay. I hope
Alright.
it does.
Yeah, me too. All right, next email.
Want me to read this one?
Sure. Or it's pretty long, so we can swap off if
Okay.
you want.
All right. All right. Howdy, Jackers. I would like to chime in about how I have been able to maintain my GMing spark, see season 35, episode 10, for the past 10 years and keep my players interested.
So, just some context, if you didn't listen to that or don't remember that one, someone wrote in asking how to keep their GMing spark. They were starting to burn out and not have as much
Yeah.
fun.
Perhaps the most important factor for me is playing regularly, and my answer to this problem is twofold. One, I run nearly all of my games online, and two, I set a definite time and schedule for people who will join the game. These two tactics let me spend time with my friends in a group-style situation, but without the barriers that can keep groups from meeting often enough to feel like it's worthwhile. Every other Tuesday from 7 to 9:30, it's not a long session, but the regularity of it allows for a longer real-time campaign than a 6-hour session every couple of months when people can get together. I mean, many of us can find time for a 2-hour video game session to play BG3 or run a raid in Destiny 2, so we can also make space for a regularly scheduled game online. I've used a number of virtual tabletops, and I've even played strictly using Discord voice chat and dice bots. It can be as simple or as complicated as you like. This tactic also opens up the possibility for my second tip, diversity of game systems. If I'm burning out on a system, I like to either start up a new campaign with a slightly different group on a different night, or tell my players, hey y'all, I'm burning out a little and would like to run a short campaign in, for instance, Brindlewood Bay. There are so many great systems, often plugged on your show, that can break up the monotony of running the same long-term campaign. Take 2 months and run a rules-light game, reassuring everyone you will return to the original campaign when you're done. Everyone gets to play vampires hunting Nazis, plug for Eat the Reich, or little old ladies poking their noses into an incompetent sheriff's investigations for a couple of months, and you will fall in love with your players all over again. Staggering games seems to keep most people from feeling too constrained by the regularity. I run or play in 5 games every 2 weeks, which gives me off weeks so gaming doesn't feel like a burden and lets me play between 5 and 10 hours of TTRPGs every week. Some folks will want to play less, I reckon, but that sounds terrible to me. Yeah. I also think that reading different game systems for a variety of genres keeps me coming back to the table again and again. I am always reading new rules systems and then hurrying a campaign to a satisfying ending so I can switch to the new game system for the next campaign. If I do that, of course, I let the players know that I want to draw things to a close in 4 to 6 months, or however long it might be, so we can explore a different type of gameplay. I lose players here and there, but I can almost always find someone else who can step in and vibe with the remaining group. I guess I'll just go ahead and finish it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone will care about this, but I felt inspired to write after listening to that episode. We care.
We do.
Of course we do.
Thank you for providing us with a wonderful outlet to listen and contribute to TTRPG discussions. Now drink, if that's something we're still doing. Jeff in
Cheers.
Tennessee.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Just water tonight, but
Yeah.
Yes, just water tonight.
Okay, so I have things I want to like unpack with us a little.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
100%.
Setting a definite time and schedule, absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's half the reason why I stream games.
Yeah.
It's like a schedule and people show up and it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
But I kind of like want to push back against I run nearly all of my games online.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah,
at
that-
least
I was like,
yeah, I feel like, okay, Mike Fernando, who is in the chat a lot of times, amazing on our Discord, like is a huge advocate for online play, and I agree with a lot of his things that he said in previous episodes and stuff he says on online about how being online makes things more accessible, how it makes it just easier. But in my experience, I've also found, at least for my home games, that having games online increases the flakiness of people.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just, I think it's a lot easier. I mean, I feel like it's a lot easier for someone to flake out or like not feel guilty about flaking out if they are like, everyone's at home anyway, so if it ends up getting canceled, it's not as big a deal as if like people had driven to someone's house.
Yeah.
That
Mm.
I admit that could totally just be like my experience bias, like my anecdotes talking, and I don't have statistical information to prove this. But I don't know. I'm curious about your experiences. Vixie, you play so much
Yeah.
more online now.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say, I was going to weigh in because I also, so funnily enough, I'm almost an exclusively online player. I don't think I have any in-person tables right now. But I do disagree with that. I don't think that that is a method to avoid burnout. If anything, it might actually increase burnout if you're playing that much. And don't, I think what's really working for this person is the fact that they have such a structured approach
Yeah.
to the way that they game. But I don't like when it comes to gaming online. It's funny because I understand where you're coming from, but my experience has been the opposite, where I feel like it makes it more accessible when you're streaming online. Like more people I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to stress about getting in my car and making sure I have gas, buying snacks on the way, getting drinks for people, blah, blah, blah. Like all of those things that come with a gathering at someone's house, suddenly that burden is gone. All I have to do is sit down at my computer, log in, and we're here, right? So I see it in that aspect, but I also feel like it's two different types of commitment that you're talking about, and I think both have their benefits. Personally, I would love to play at a table again. I mean, one of my some of my best memories are from sitting in person in the Happy Jack studio with my like some of the TTRPG crews that I've played with, like playing with Artem and Darby and Engie and Brian at the table are like, that's something that I'm going to remember forever because it was such a good time to like physically see people and like watch them react in real time, because something that happens when you're streaming online is you have the wonderful lag bug. So you're not reacting in real time to people, but like here you like when you're in person you can react together. Like Darby and I would just sync up and we just like both squeak and blow out the speakers at the levels of which you would
Yes,
squeal.
it
Like stuff like that happens in person. And I honestly, when it comes to, I think having a variety of both is great. I think it's important to practice self-care because that's, and it's funny because I'm actually dealing with this in the space right now. There are a lot of people that are over scheduling themselves to the point of like, oh, my body says no, it quit. And I'm just like, because you're overdoing it, and I like, it's that you have to find that happy balance of what can I do within my schedule,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's the same for, because it's funny because we took like the 6-hour game versus the 2-hour game thing was something that stuck with me too, because I can see the benefit of a 2-hour game. And funnily enough, I actually left a table that was a 6-hour game once a month
Mm.
because it was such a long. Number one, it was a very long commitment. Number two, I was like, I would leave that game passing out because I was so tired from being so invested in the story. And I think like for me, the happy medium is always like 3 hours is where I like to live, me personally,
Yeah.
because that's enough time to create a full story and or a chapter or however you want to call it. But it's not so long that you're worn out, and it's not so short that you're like, what happened? I blinked and we were done.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That one's so funny
yeah.
to me because like it's changed as I've gotten older. Like
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
like that 3, maybe 4 hours, like 2 to 4
Mhm.
hours is like it. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my spot.
Agreed.
But like back in the day, like I just remember we'd go and like plan a day of gaming.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like you'd
Yes.
show up at someone's house like in the morning, which was in the morning for us was like 11.
Yeah.
And like
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
back and then you just play until like midnight or 1. And
Oh, yeah.
granted, like a lot of the time was like, what are we ordering for dinner? And
Right.
like it wasn't
Yeah.
constant straight playing through there. But I just remember those days, and it was so invigorating, and you go home exhausted, but you'd still like, I don't know,
Yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
heck.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I recall a Vampire Dark Ages game that was just phenomenal, and we played for many months and had great stories and characters going, and the finale, our game master wanted to end it at dawn. And our
That's
characters had the ability to decide whether or not they were going to witness the dawn. So yeah, so we
That's
wanted
pretty
it
cool.
at the real time, but we started at like 7 p.m. the night before, so we ended up playing for like 12 hours.
That's so cool.
And
My God.
yeah, and we took breaks and stuff, but it was still just like, oh my God, but we did it, and
Mhm.
but like I was 30 then. I could do those things.
Right.
That's such a cool concept though, because it's almost like the 12 candles like
Yeah.
time limit,
Yeah.
but like much longer, obviously. But
Yeah.
I love that concept for like
Yeah.
a one shot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
What a-
really cool. Yeah, like my character decided, no, I'm gonna stay up and see the dawn, and I'm going to end my unlife here. And two of the other players did not, and it was really cool. But yeah, I talking about the online versus in person. I'm gonna I can take a little more the middle of the road position. I love the in person games. Generally prefer them better, but I do like the accessibility of playing online, and I the thing for me is that when you're playing online, like yes, there is less guilt over flaking, but there's also less being upset if somebody does flake and it gets canceled. You know,
Yes.
because it's
Yeah.
for that same reason. Like, well, they're right. I am already home, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a big deal for me to just not log on now.
Yeah.
So that can be kind of freeing in some ways, but it does make I think it makes it harder to schedule, actually.
Yeah.
In my experience, but different groups are going to be different. That I love a home game, and like the one I'm playing right now, is just. It's just really reignited my interest in DMing, and specifically in doing D&D.
And that was online.
No, it's
home game.
it's a home game. Yeah, in-person tabletop game. It basically I wanted to run D&D for my brother, who recently moved out here, and Kimmy was not available, or she would have been in it. But yeah, I mean it's my brother, and then Jason and Joey and June, and Artem joined us. So yeah. So, which was my first time meeting Artem, and Artem is amazing. Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
love Artem.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't, I can say nothing but good things. about
right.
Artem. So yeah.
So fantastic. So we're having a great time, and we are. So I told them, like, I want to run weekly for like 3 hours every Sunday, knowing that we will have cancellations. So if we plan on weekly, we will probably get at least a bi-weekly game. And that worked fine until fair. And then a bunch of other stuff happened, and so we ended up playing like once a month for the last 2 months. But we're now back kind of on schedule. But I segueing into the scheduling thing, I think yes, like you got to have a specific set schedule and keep people to it, because if you're like, well, let's just decide to get together whenever everybody's free, you're never going to find a spot where everybody's free. So I kind of say, like, here is the time frame, and as the DM, I'm like, this is the time slot I'm interested in running. Are you available for this time slot? If not, sorry, catch you next time. And so I want that, like, we are going to play at this time every week. If you can't make it, that's fine. We are going to go on without you. So only if we lose critical mass. So like there's 5 PCs. So if we lose 3 people, we're not going to play. But if we're only missing 2, we're still going to play with the 3 remaining. So, and I, because otherwise you just get into this, like, well, I'm not free on Saturday this week. Okay, well, I'm only free on Saturday. I'm not free on Sunday. Well, like, what about next week? Well, we're out of town next week. And, you know, and you
It's
just,
too hard.
you just can't do
Scheduling
it.
purgatory.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I subscribe to the same thing, and it's funny because there are some games that really lend themselves to that. So my Magnus Archives game is like that, actually, because I set the time frame, and some of my players have just not been available for certain days and times, and I'm like, cool, your character is getting disappeared, and then whenever you can make it, you can make it, and it's very easy to do in the context of a game like that. But like, you can do stuff like that, and that way you don't do anything to their characters. They have all the agency, and they just poof back in whenever they want to poof back in.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the other really smart scheduling thing here is putting an end point on it.
Mm.
Like, we're going to
absolutely.
play this for 6 months or X number of sessions or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like lots of games get bogged down in like the just kind of vague, oh, we're going to just play until we don't want to play anymore. And people flake out. I think if people know, okay, in X number of weeks, I'm going to get my Saturdays back or my Monday nights back or whatever it is, I think people have an easier time committing to that as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think that is something that more home games should do. Because I feel like a lot of them are like, we'll just play on Tuesdays. And for streamed games, we tend to like have very planned out endpoints.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that home games could very much benefit from. And then if you're having a great time, there's no reason when you hit that point to be like, oh, well, let's play for another 6 weeks or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to end.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
exactly. That's actually, we're doing that right now with a Good Society game that we're planning. We were like, okay, we're going to make it this long. And then when we get to this point, let's do a check-in with everyone and see if we want to continue. And then if no one's having fun or like stuff is happening and people can't make it anymore or whatever, we'll address it at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a definitive ending it there. You can just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And
decide.
that,
Yeah.
and that really facilitates playing lots of different systems too.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
hey,
yeah.
6 months. Okay, I'm totally burned out on doing this. Let's do a different system. Maybe we'll move our characters to that system. Maybe we'll start something completely new. But having those like ends, like points or check-ins or whatever you want to kind of think of them as, is really a great way to kind of keep interest and keep energy up and things going.
Yeah.
Keep
yeah.
things fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
Just be adaptable. You know, I think that goes a long way towards making sure everybody feels free. Like, this is for fun.
Yeah.
And if it
Absolutely.
falls apart, well, that can suck. But it falls apart. And we all are still living, and we're all still friends, and we'll come back together for another game at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, as someone who is a veteran of many tables that have imploded on each other and no one has good relationships with each other anymore, I'm still here. I'm still playing, and I still love to play. I still love being in the hobby. So
Yeah.
the hobby's not going to go away if it didn't work out. It just means that you're still looking for the right people. That's all.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it is,
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, keeping that GMing spark is like for the longest time, I did not consider myself a GM. I would run things occasionally because I felt guilty that that the people running should get to be PCs too. But really kind of since I discovered PBTA, that's what kind of reignited my GMing spark and turned me into primarily a GM. And I really like running games now whether they're crunchy games or story games. I like being able to do all of do that whole part of the GMing role. But I still love playing, and sometimes I just want to be one character.
Yes.
Yeah.
To
But
build on that, I mean, I'm
go
sorry, I
ahead.
didn't mean to speak over
No,
if
go
you
ahead.
had another thought. Well, I was just gonna say to build on that, I'm about to spout a hot take. There is a hot take that I have here where there's an incredible amount of toxicity in the forever GM trope.
Oh,
That is actually something that I actively try to avoid because I love GMing.
yeah.
I do not mind taking the lead, but I do not want to become a forever GM.
Yeah.
Because for that reason, because I know if I end up in the forever GM space, I will burn out and never want to play a TTRPG ever again.
Yeah.
So I try to maintain, I actively try to maintain a balance between playing and GMing for that reason. Because the GM role, when you're playing a game that requires a GM or a guide or whatever terminology that game is using for a facilitator of that game, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
And you don't always want to be that guy, you know?
Right.
Sometimes you just want to be the little dude with the character sheet that's rolling dice and having a good time.
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
I think that's something that's started to be something that's a little bit newer in the tabletop space, though, because I know, and I think that speaks to our privilege a little bit too, knowing so many great gamers.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the term forever GM, I think, was something that was much more prevalent before people started gaming online so much. Because if you were in a town with your 4 buddies who were the TTRPGers, like, you probably played D&D and one of you was the DM, and that was it. Like, you didn't have the options to, like, well, I'd like to try this other system. I'd like to, people did, but back in the day, especially before like 2020, when people really started engaging with online play because they had to.
Yeah.
Because there was no choice.
Yeah, we would get emails all the time from people who were like, I am completely burned out on DMing, but me and my 3 friends, this is like what we do, and like I don't know how, and none of them want to DM, and like, so it was just a very different kind of origin of the forever DM trope.
Yeah.
And it really came from people being limited and not feeling like the only way they were going to get to play is if they were DMing.
Yeah.
And so I think that online play has made it less of like a curse. Like forever DM used to be a thing that was, some people were proud of it, but for most of the time it was like, it was kind of something you were stuck with because you were the only one who could do it.
Right. Yeah.
I am glad to see that it's sort of like changing a little bit now that there's more options for people to game with multiple different groups. You can still DM or GM for your game at home and like your friends in your town, but then you can go, find a group online where you get to be a player and things like that.
Exactly.
I think that's much more healthy for people. And I've noticed the number of emails about that specific topic have dropped incredibly since.
That's true. Yeah, they have.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think now that we have the ability to have a balance between GMing and playing, we should definitely use it. Especially 'cause it's interesting because I was thinking about this the other day. It's so interesting to see how things have evolved in the hobby from like when I started playing, from when like people who are older than me started playing, and how many like different things have evolved and grown and changed.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things.
Yeah. It's okay. You can just say my name, Pixie. It's fine.
I'm not saying your name.
It's fine.
I'm way older than Kimmy. It's fine. Kimmy, you can say my name.
Oh gosh.
No, but it's true. COVID changed everything.
Yeah.
It really did, and it opened up the ability to do online gaming and the normalcy of online gaming so much more, and I think that's a good thing. It's yeah, COVID sucked, but there are so many games that we can play and people that we can play with online that we weren't able to before, and now all of the tools exist to be able to do that easily. So I mean, I was Kurt Potts and Katie Potts, I hardly ever get to see them because they're like
Hours and hours and hours away.
hours and hours away. It's 3 hours, but that's forever in California time. But like I got to play with them for a whole year, once a week on a game that Bill ran for us on Zoom, and it was just like so wonderful to just hang out with Bill and Kate and Kurt. I always call. I just almost did it again. I would say, "Hi, Kate. Hi, Curdy."
Yeah.
And like it's like they're like, "That's fine."
Yeah.
But but I would get to hang out with them, friends that I love that were hours away that I wouldn't have gotten to see regularly otherwise. And I think that's a great thing that online gaming opened up for us. So if it works for you, like go for it. It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how Vixie is joining us right this moment. Too,
Right?
So we appreciate it.
Yes, remotely. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff from Tennessee. Write in more stuff because that was a great topic.
Yeah.
That
Thank
was a good
you.
one. Yeah.
All right. So this one's me. Mailbag 3 from the archive 2021.
Ooh.
Dear Happy Jackers and System Hackers, prescript. Longtime listener, occasional writer, but I've adapted to a new handle pretty much everywhere on the internet since I last wrote in. So I've used the new one here too. Very excited to hear that Stu is going to be running GURPS again soon. Yeah!
GURPS.
That's an old joke.
GURPS.
Do you understand?
This is old. Fucking excited.
Yeah. Do I understand correctly that the game will be set in the collaborative world you all are making? Or do I have that wrong? I don't remember.
I believe it did.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Or elements of that thing were used. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
For those who don't know the backlog, for a while, we were having there at the end of the advice show, we'd do a little thing where everybody would answer a prompt.
That's right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like thinking like it was like the Happy Jack cinematic universe or
Yeah,
something. I'm
yeah.
like, but you're right. No.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, today everybody come up with one magic item that exists in this world.
right.
Or okay, name one village that exists, and then Stu would document all of those, and I think he did run.
Yeah, he did.
the
Like it
game
all got in there.
that.
Yeah.
Tried
I forgot
to
about
work
that
in a
part.
bunch of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of cool.
That was such a great idea. Gosh.
Yeah.
Should steal that again.
Right.
Was
yeah.
Stu the person that made the sheets that you for GURPS that had like all the numbers and stuff on it?
He
Or am I thinking of
did
someone
that,
else?
but you're probably thinking of Mook.
Mook.
Yeah, Mook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mook
Yeah.
was like the penultimate like GURPS. Like he
Yeah.
wrote stuff
Player.
for the GURPS system.
Yeah.
He he was like the best GM I've like almost ever had from almost any system. Like he made GURPS invisible somehow because he
Yeah.
knew the system so well. Like we just played like
Wow.
it felt like such a narrative system when he was running it because he'd just be like. He just knew everything so well. It was amazing. But R.I.P. Mook. He was amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, Stu also made like cheat sheets for us and stuff. So I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. But Mook actually wrote
think it
and
was
published
Mook,
a lot of
actually.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stu, have you decided what magic system you're going to use? Personally, I really like the looks of Ritual Path Magic. I played with realm-based flexible magic for a while, and IRC, there's a pyramid article that explains how to do a hybrid of the two. But after learning more about RPM and seeing the good things fans have to say about it, I'd be inclined to use that one in the future. Ritual Path Magic is one of the flexible magic systems where there aren't any preset spells, but rather gives you rules on how to craft spells on the fly. Though polite players and GMs will generally have a prepared list of common ones, I imagine, and the RPM book has some pre-written ones. So this is like magic in the GURPS system.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Of course, for me, flexible magic systems, at least in GURPS, raise a dilemma. They make yes-anding really easy, but they may allow mages to outshine other PCs. Here's how I came to this dilemma. Several years ago, I was running a game for a group of friends, and one of the players really wanted to play a mage who specialized in plant magic. Oh yes, we love a poison ivy. Thank you. And wouldn't you know, GURPS has a plant magic supplement
They have a
because,
supplement for everything.
of course, GURPS has a plant magic supplement. It's
Yes.
GURPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Written by real botanists, too.
Yes, probably. Probably. So I picked it up and made what I thought looked like a pretty capable plant mage. And we set to adventuring. And fairly often the player would look at a problem the group was facing, think of a clever way a mage with control of plants could solve the problem, and ask if it would work. The problem was, not only did she personally not have a fitting spell in her character sheet, GURPS just didn't have spells for a lot of what she wanted to do. Stuff that, once we started playing, seemed pretty obvious options for a plant mage. With the GM wisdom I have now, I came up with some ways to handle it during the session. Then we revisit the rules after. But do you know what I did instead? Like an asshole at the time, I said no, because she didn't have the right spell. Again, through no fault of her own. I didn't want to say no, but it just wasn't in the rules. You could say I was suffering from the hidebound disadvantage, lack of creativity. That was in parentheses. The campaign eventually fizzled, mostly because of scheduling, which we've already covered very well in this episode. But I wonder if this has something to do with it. However, that experience stuck with me. I wanted magic to work differently in future games. I didn't want to be stuck to a spell list. I wanted to be able to easily say yes to creative ideas. So I picked up the Thermatology supplement to see what it could offer. I think I said that right. Yes.
Thaumatology?
Thaumatology?
Yeah,
Maybe thaumatology?
Yeah, thaumatology.
Thaumatology. Okay, cool.
Thaumatology.
I did not say it right.
Okay.
Thaumatology. Okay.
Yes.
Supplement. Someone tell us. Write an email. Tell me how I'm supposed to say it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That supplement offered a flexible magic system that, like Ritual Path Magic, offered parameters for building and improving spells. I thought this was perfect. No more saying no by combining it with the threshold magic option. The GURPS system allows mages lots of power that might blow up in their faces if they're not careful. We no longer have to ask, can the mage do the spell, but rather, will the mage accept the risks that spell entails? I thought surely this was the answer. Fast forward a few years, when I actually have time to run a GURPS game again. And of course, I use flexible magic plus threshold. And it did just what I wanted it to do. It allowed me to stop saying no because of the limited spell list, and it did the job perhaps too well. Because now one mage could solve nearly any problem.
Oh, boy.
Need to see a scary monster in the woods? No problem. View it remotely with magic. Need to navigate a maze-like dungeon? Need to fight a BBEG? No problem. Use magic to prepare a batch of strong buffs for Swordman. And hang back while he handles it effortlessly. Is there a puzzle door in your way? Not anymore, because the maid can easily move it aside. It turned out to be a fairly easy way to use magic that came up with the perfect solutions to nearly every problem, especially dungeon delving ones, which the players were particularly interested in for that campaign. My group is considering picking that game up again, so I'm tinkering with GURPS magic systems and rules so I can dial in something flexible but not overpowering. What do you like in a magic system? What's the kind of feel do you like, and do you have any favorites? Happy gaming, Gurgmerg.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah, this is a topic near and dear to my heart.
I know. It's not an accident this appeared for you.
Oh, nice. So, having recently run Mage right here on Happy Jacks, be sure to check out happyjacks.com/Trinity's Wake.
Org.
Happyjacks.org/Trinity's Wake
Yes.
if you want to watch the Mage campaign that I ran. That's my basic familiarity with flexible magic systems. When you compare it to D&D, Savage Worlds also has a flexible magic system. It's much more adaptable than D&D's system is. I can't really talk about GURPS. I've never talked about GURPS since that one horrible experience. But I love a flexible magic system, but it does need to have some limits, and it needs to have some kind of breaks on it. And that's one of the things I love about Mage. Like, you can do anything. If you try to do something that you're not fully capable of doing, like, it's very, very dangerous. And so there's I like that system, but it's also it requires a lot of work on the GM if the players don't know the system as well, as thoroughly. Because basically when I run Mage, because I understand how the spheres work so well, like, I just tell my players, whether they've ever played Mage or not, I'm like, tell me what you want your magic to do. And I'll tell you what you need to do it and what to roll. And oh, you don't have the actual sphere for doing that? Okay, you want to gamble? Like, and it's something that I just know, and I know how to deal with.
Yeah.
But a lot of that comes from uh, having the dissatisfaction with the spell system in D&D, and seeing some of the ways that opened up in Savage Worlds, which was sort of my transition. Is I did D&D for a long time, and then I did World of Darkness, and then I sort of transitioned into Savage Worlds, and after that is when I was able to go back to Mage and like, okay, I get this now.
Yeah.
Because the first time I tried Mage, I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I get a lot of frustration with the D&D magic system because, like, to me, like, what do you mean I only have 4 cantrips? They're the simplest spells. I should be able to have all of the cantrips. And then there's some things that I'm like, why is knock a like first or second level spell? Like,
Right.
opening a lock? I'm sorry, that's a hard spell, opening a lock? And you realize that it's all because of trying to balance and make rogues useful.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like, because if knock is a cantrip, then you don't need a rogue. But I one of the things that I do when I create D&D characters now is I try to multi-class in a way and take feats in a way that gives me maximum cantrips.
Yeah.
So I like a wizard with 8 cantrips because I'm like wizard plus sorcerer, and I have like the cleric initiate feat.
Yeah.
I'm like, I only need like 6 leveled spells, but I want all of the cantrips.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's, if you find a magic system that you can make balanced, that is flexible, I think that's wonderful, because that's part of the joy of what magic is to me. And a defined spell list is very, very limiting to me, and always a little frustrating.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Unironically, I'm wearing the shirt I associate with my D&D character. My poor little cleric suffers from a massive case of anxiety. But yeah, she's a knowledge cleric that just has a lot of anxiety all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
Me
funny that
too,
we
but not in a game.
Oh, I love playing the anxious person. I basically was like, what if a real person got thrown into D&D,
Yes.
times those reactions by 10,
Yeah.
and that's my cleric.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So anyway, so what I was gonna say is I just actually did something similar for this with It's Only Magic it's a cipher system game from Monty Cook. And it's funny because someone actually also asked a magic related question in chat about ciphers, and that was one of the things that I had to deal with, is how do you create, because how do you create limits within this magic system, because it's an established magic system, right? And you get ciphers based on certain conditions, and if I have a bad habit of looking at this and going, but what if I don't want to do this though? It's my game. And so I believe in setting limits, but I also don't want to limit my players' imaginations. And specifically, I created a homebrew mechanic because the premise of the world that they were in is they all belonged to a witch house, and each witch house had a signature spell. Those who belonged to the alchemy house had access to a pocket dimension spell. They basically got a bag of holding that they could reach into and pull a cipher from. And they could pull anything they wanted. which everyone's like, you broke the game, and I'm like, no. There's limits. So you can pull out, and the idea is that you would pull out an invention, but there were two things that you knew when you did that. The invention didn't belong to you, and the invention was one use only and would immediately explode, be destroyed, deteriorate, be done in some way. So it was basically like a one use item, and you would like piss someone off because you just broke their invention. So you were suffering like social consequences as well in this world, which made sense because this is like an urban magic world. So social standing was like actually had value in the game. So it was definitely something like I think also as a GM, being creative and giving things limits, like you don't have cell signal here. All right, I'm gonna magic up a Y frog. That was the thing that they did. And I was like, that's cool, but sort of like, then you have signal, but it's like 1 bar. So congrats. You have just enough to like stream a very clippy, as one of the Twitch streamer, a very clippy version of yourself in this swamp that you're in. But like stuff like that, limiting things, finding ways to limit. Also, always like, I feel like people forget that anti-magic is a thing. And it's like, oh no, your magic doesn't actually work here.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I feel like torn on that though, because if someone puts, all their work in, all their points or whatever, however they you build a system, your character in the system you're using. I say points because like GURP specifically, but like it feels like really shitty to me as a GM to like just like nullify everything that they've built their character around.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like I don't think it can never be done, but I think there needs to be limits on it.
Yeah.
Or, find ways to challenge them that aren't just like, oh, haha, the thing you do, you can't do here. Like we had an email a few shows ago, which it was like it was another caster being overpowered, similar to this. And so we're talking about ways specifically in D&D to like pose a challenge to the casters, but without like putting things in their way, putting the fight in a forest where they don't necessarily have line of sight, like all those things you can do to make it more difficult without just being like, oh, no magic here. Stand around and look awkward.
Right?
Good job. I hope you wear a pretty outfit.
Yeah.
Like,
At least your outfit is cool. At least you look. No, I mean it like that. Like, is like a puzzle situation. Like, oh no, our magic doesn't work here. What is causing that? Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Like when I GM my very first D&D game, funnily enough, I did something like that because I wanted to play with that concept. The player started off shackled. And like my mages that were shackled couldn't use their magic until they figured out how to get the shackles off. And of course, it was a simple first grade puzzle that took them an hour. Like I was like, you would think you'd all remember Roy G. Biv, but no. So I was just, they got them off eventually once I had like literally was like, it's the cuffs, please God. But
oh, go ahead.
But stuff like that, like plot things like that.
Yeah.
Create that challenge without necessarily limiting the caster, limiting your player, or making them feel bad like they can't use anything. Too. So just to build on your point.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to have their strengths taken away, and or even to play a character with your strengths taken away, and that's why I think that like starting out shackled and naked in a cage is like that's a great place to start a story. Like, like what do you do? Actually, when I guest starred on Astral Circus a couple of weeks ago, and because of the situation, and I was playing a multi-class wizard rogue, and Jason was like, are you okay if we start your character out naked in a cage with an anti-magic field? I'm like, sure.
Sounds
Let's
good.
go. Let's see what I do. Nothing but my hotness and my wits. Let's go.
I mean, you were a part rogue, so
yeah, exactly.
Hotness
Yeah,
and wits, let's go.
right.
as far as
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that can be fun, and you can take magic away in the same way you can take away the sword or the armor from the fighter or the paladin. You know, give the rogue nowhere to hide. You know, put the druid in a city. You know, I mean, there are moments where those kinds of challenges can be super fun. You just don't want to. It shouldn't be the whole time where
Right,
you're
exactly.
without your strengths.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's harder to do in like GURPS though, where like
Uh-huh.
when they're creating magic on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
true.
it's you know, it's like you know, in D&D you've got that spell list, which is why they have it that
Yeah.
way. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
Right.
like
Mhm.
oh, we'll make lockpicking or whatever the
Knock.
knock,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
Like a level 50 spell, and that
Right.
way, you know, we can still have rogues and they have a purpose. But like, if you have a system where they can kind of improvise spells,
Yeah.
I love that. But it is so much harder to
Yeah.
do that because we improvise a spell that it doesn't matter. It's just gonna blow up the trees too. So
Right,
like,
yeah.
it's a lot. So there is
Yeah.
that hard thing, and I don't know. You know Mage much better than I've only
Mhm.
done a few Mage, a couple
Mhm.
like a one shot now. But one thing I've always I've been playing around with this in my head since we did like the beta version of the Avatar game.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I love the idea of like an elements based magic system that
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
improvise. It would, and now I know Avatar is not exactly magic.
I was
but
literally
that
like,
was-
Avatar? Are we talking about?
I know it's not magic, but it's element based, and that's what kind of got me spinning
Mhm.
out on like elemental magic and
Yeah.
how you could like mix like water with like air and make a rain spell or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you did have to, I don't know. So it's sort of the concept I'm messing with is kind of based on the Cortex system where you have different die and different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So it'd be like,
Mhm.
at least in my head, like it's sort of in that point because I love the idea of like making up spells as you go, and I
Yeah.
like the idea of elements being kind of the basis of that. But I'm
Yeah.
also like kind of thinking of designing the game where everybody's a magic user because
Right.
then I don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like when you play Star Wars. It's really best if everybody's a Jedi or nobody's a Jedi.
Yeah, there's
you know.
Yeah.
so few systems that balance that
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and
Mhm.
honestly, I tell people this with World of Darkness, like don't mix this the games. Like if you're gonna play if you're gonna play vampires, everybody plays vampire. Don't have some vampires and some werewolves and some mages.
Mhm.
The World of Darkness systems are balanced within their different groups. They are not balanced against each other.
No.
It just
Mhm.
falls apart really quickly
Yeah.
power wise.
Seems like a cool idea until you have
try
to
it.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go play Urban
It's-
Shadows instead if
Yeah.
you want that. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Because I'm thinking about that magic, like on the fly thing, and I just played a game called Moonlight on Roseville Beach,
Mhm.
on my stream, and they have like a magic system that's kind of like that. It's based on you can choose like one of the magical playbooks, and they give you they give you what's called power words.
Mm.
And I think I don't recall if the system lets you make up your own power words, but you like the way that that they address that in the game is that you are limited with how many words you have. Number
Mhm.
one. Number two, you run the risk of that magic going awry. So you're
Oh.
rolling
Mhm.
because it's a PBTA, so you roll on a table and like for example, if I roll 2 6s and a 4, I could put a 6 to make sure the magic works, 6 to make sure that I get the goal, and then the 4 means like I risk an injury to myself or something
Mhm.
like that. Like so depending on what you roll, you can put the way those dice work will inform how your magic manifests and
Oh,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
does,
That's
which
super
I think is
cool.
a very interesting approach.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
teacher in me is like, oh, I could like
Yeah.
make a system where there's a prefix and the root word and then a suffix, and you
Oh,
put it
yeah,
together,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
teaches language skills while also being a TTRPG. I'm such a
Oh, that. No, make that game. I want
Let's
to
go.
play test it. Like,
oh, and you get like a die for
Uh-huh.
the prefix, the root word, and the suffix.
right? Yeah. Oh, and mixing that with Cortex, like, oh, do you have like you have a D4 on prefixes, you have a D8 on
Yeah.
roots, and you have a D12 on suffixes. So
Oh,
you're going to
God.
Oh my
tend to go
God.
with things that, you know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I do suffix heavy
Yeah,
magic.
I do,
you know.
yeah.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Kimmy, make
I think
that
that's
game.
great. Why am
Uh,
I'm thinking of like, oh well, you're thinking of this word, but not that, but you have to say it like this. Like if
Yeah.
you mess up a pronunciation,
Yeah.
welp.
Yeah. Yep. Oops. Oh, there was
Uh,
not an R in that word.
No
You
shit.
are now
Uh,
haunted by ghosts.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be so funny. Oh my gosh, like that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's like, huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, and then you could have a whole thing about dialects. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like your
there's
pronunciations.
there's a game
There's
called
a game called
Dialect.
yeah.
that-
They do it much better than I ever could. That's
Yeah.
such a good
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. And Vixie, weren't you the one that was running the die game?
I was
know.
not running it. I
Oh,
was
okay.
playing it.
You were
Yeah.
playing in it. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because I loved the graphic novel of Die and or the series, and it was so good, and I have the game and I haven't been able to play it yet, and so I was wondering how magic worked in that, and I don't know if you are
Ooh.
qualified to speak on it, but
I was not a magic caster. I was something
Okay.
called the Emotion Knight. I mean,
Oh.
I was kind of magical because all of my stuff was driven by emotions.
yeah. The
And it was
Emotion
really,
Night was so good.
yeah,
Yeah.
but first it was joy, and then my emotion actually changed because something intense happened in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sad because we haven't finished it, and I don't want to do the reveal of what the alternate
yeah.
emotion was.
Yeah.
But like, it was a very fun thing to play, and I know that at least the way that worked, it was based on how high you rolled.
Yeah.
Like for emotion night, the higher you rolled, the more intense your emotion was, and like you could get up to like god killing
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
levels
cool.
of emotion.
Yeah.
Like there's literally one where it's like, oh, if you reach this number, you could fight a god and win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, bet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just remembered, from the setting, it seemed like a lot of the powers that the characters had were very flexible depending on how you rolled.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
yeah, but
I think the
Yeah.
one big, like the one really like there were two magical people. One of them was Jason's character, I believe. And then the other one was Nora's character. And they both had different sets of magic. I believe Nora's character was the way that their magic worked was based on manipulation. The manipulation.
oh yeah, yeah,
So, like, for example, if my character is experiencing intense anger, Nora's character might take advantage of that and use that emotion against me to get me to do something that they wanted me to do, purely based on that emotion. And it was voice activated, and you could like basically it was like a kind of mind control
yeah.
situation. And then I think Jason's character spoke to gods. If I recall correctly, that was one of my favorite gods. He made a Karen character, like who was a goddess of the underworld.
Amazing.
And you just heard like, I want to speak to the manager across the in our first little foray. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so their magic was connected, like it's connected to something. It's not necessarily just straight magic. If
Yeah.
anything, I thought Sam's character, Sam DeLev, who was also in that game, was pretty interesting because they were the fool, and their
Oh.
magic is like they have magic, but it's very much like think Domino from the Marvel series.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where stuff just sort of works out. And so that's probably the like that was kind of how magic works in the die system. It's connected to something,
Yeah.
either like some aspect of the playbook.
Yeah.
And it
Cool.
like the character sheets are pretty self-explanatory, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I think, in terms of the letter, like there are a lot of different ways of approaching magic. So, explore them. And if you've got a system that can accommodate different types of magic, like try them out. Like, I mean, it's a game. Just try it. Like, see what happens. If you break it, oh, well, you can fix it next session.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
I mean, it has been so long since I played GURPS, but I feel like it'd be super easy to kind of like house rule something where like, and this is totally because I've been playing Electric State, but like you roll your die and then you have an extra die of a different color. and like that's your blowback die or something like that, where
Yeah.
it's like if you roll the dice and you work, and GURPS is like you roll low for success.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, same thing. If you
Okay.
roll this extra die and it's like it maxes out, then okay, you're whatever your spell succeeds or it doesn't succeed based on the other die. But then also there's like, okay, you maxed out your, you have a headache and you can't use your magic for X number of, or whatever it is, depending on what kind of spell it was. If it was a fire
Yeah.
spell, heaven help you,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think it would be
I
really.
cast fireball. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh, no.
So, and like again, like I have never played a caster in a GURPS game. I've always ever been like big fighter types, or we've done like Wild West and stuff like that in it too. But I haven't done a caster. But I imagine like picking up one of if you were going to continue with the ritual magic where you were, they were able to improvise spells. Like if you think there needs to be a limit on it, like adding something like that might help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a 2 die or whatever. Or maybe it's
Yeah.
like the more powerful the spell is, the more die you have of this other color, which is kind of how it works in Electric State when you do stuff. You have to have D6s of different colors so you can differentiate which ones are like your equipment versus like your skill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it might be interesting to do something like that with it.
Or like in
It-
Candela where you have your gilded die, but it works a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like having the tables like in Moonlight on Roseville Beach would also be helpful because you could base it on like, are you creating the spell for the first time? Is this something like, how are you making this? Am I just kind of winging a fireball spell, or have I seen someone do it before? What's
Yeah.
informing the creation of this improv spell?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because your knowledge level will also affect how well that spell is cast and might give you I'll use D&D terms because they're easy to get across, but it like might give you advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah.
Or remove a die or give a die depending on stuff like that. Like what conditions are there that can do that as well.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
might be an effective way to kind of adjust for that.
Yeah. That's very cool.
And just remember the ultimate limitation on magic users is they're squishy. Make the bad guys smart enough to focus fire on the caster.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that gets real scary real fast because they don't have as many hit points. So,
Oh my god. My running joke is I'm a wizard. I have 2 HP. Yay!
Yep. All right. Thank you, Gergmerg. That was very good. And
yeah.
we love hearing from you. We still hear from you
Yeah.
4 years later after this email. And you also wrote emails
Yay!
before that too. So. All right. Thank you for joining us for season 35, episode 20 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. Please support our amazing indie designer of the month, J Dragon. You can find their work at possumcreekgames.itch.io and all the other places we said at the beginning of the show. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, and to our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. You can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. They keep the air conditioning working and the mini fridge full. Thank you so much. And also, we don't have to do ads or things like that, which we really appreciate.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yes. My name is Kimmy. You can find me at Golden Lasso Girl, mostly on Blue Sky now. I'm trying to get active on Instagram again, but I'm so bad at it. You can find my games at goldenlassogames.com. And if you would like to vote for Kai and I on the Crit Awards, for like we talked about at the top of the show, you can go to happyjacks.org/crit and it will redirect you to the ballot. And you can vote for me for Best Podcast Host and the Outstanding Community Member Award. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Okay, go.
Absolutely the best podcast host.
100%.
Yeah.
The best one that happens to be sitting in this seat right here at this moment.
Ever.
Ever.
Don't argue with us.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am Adam. You can find me online at HOOBUK. It's Hoobuk. I'm mostly on Instagram, although I've been pretty quiet on everything right now. Also, if you're looking for me on Discord or Twitch, I think there's an extra O in Hoobuk. But I'm due to numerous things going on in my life right now. I'm a little quiet on the social media and online gaming space, but I'm around. Look me up if you want to chat. And I will hopefully be back on the advice show a little more often soon. So trying to get back on a regular schedule to come because I love this. This is
we love it too.
Yeah, I honestly I like doing the advice show even more than I like doing the streaming games.
Yeah.
It's-
Listen to my thoughts on this
Yeah.
and my opinions.
yeah, people want my opinions. It's awesome. So see you here soon, and might be in a game soon. We'll see what's coming up.
Yes.
But yeah, probably not going to run anything again for a while online, but
That's okay.
but yeah. But might be joining in one soon. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks.
I know. Well, maybe. I don't know if it's the same game that I'm running. But anyway. Hey, everybody. My name is Vixie Bell, and I have been happily at this advice show because this is the one time of the month that I get to see Kimmy. So, and I'm always excited to see Kimmy and everyone who, sits at Happy Jacks. You can find me everywhere on the internet, either at Vixie Bell or over at the Pocket Dragon Pub, which is my Twitch channel where I stream games. We are currently raising money for the Rainbow Railroad for Pride Month. So please tune in to our show. We're raising a big $500 for them. So far, we are at $100 and counting. So yay! And hopefully at some point here, Kimmy and I have been talking about running everybody brace yourselves, my 90s babies.
Oh yeah.
A Pirates of Dark Water RPG.
Yes.
Because yes, they did have a TTRPG system. It is public.
Really?
It is public, and the other interesting thing about it is that it's system agnostic, so you can actually just take the rules of the game and smash another system into it.
Yeah.
It's a very cool little TTRPG. It does have its own rules if you would like to use their rules, but it's a very cool little TTRPG. I'm excited to run it, and yeah, that's what I have to say. Anything else, you'll have to go find me on social support. I don't want to make it want to make it long. Sorry.
It's fine. It's absolutely like one of my childhood obsessions, and I just was like, oh my gosh, it's like it was in that ilk of like She-Ra, He-Man, like
Yes.
90s cartoon, like
Yeah.
early 90s cartoons.
Very underrated show. It was
Yes.
so good.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The history of the show is even more interesting because it didn't do well enough to merit them finishing it, and I'm still
know.
mad about it.
I'm still mad about it. Like my childhood is incomplete.
Yeah,
It makes
yeah.
me mad.
Right?
It's right around the time Saturday morning cartoons were dying.
Yeah.
The whole tradition of Saturday morning cartoons was kind of dying around then, which was really sad. I was like, it was happening as I was a teenager. And,
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's all right. We're gonna finish it in our game.
It'll be
It's fine.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with a song. We're going to leave you with a song called The Pub That We Call Home by the world famous Poxy Boggarts. You can find them at poxyboggarts.com. And thank you all so much. And we'll see you at our normal time next week. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, allow me to tell ye of a place dear to heart, of each sailor and soldier, both Slavic and smart. Each face in that place is familiar and warm, where each traveler weary retreats from life's storm.
'Tis this pub that we call home, and from her we ofttimes may roam. But our respite we'll find in a pint, maybe 9, in this pub that we call home.
Though married but not merry, bearing lowly life's load, and suffering the chafing of my long-winded road, entombed in the womb of this free house at Bath, her walls provide shelter from my wife's wicked wrath.
'Tis this pub that we call home, and from her we ofttimes may roam. But our respite we'll find in a pint, maybe 9, in this pub that we call home.
In the hours when life's hours and I'm weary and beat, to the hopping and copying I need to retreat. With a pale cup of ale and my good mate's concerns, I'm rested yet weary to the battle return.
'Tis this pub that we call home, and from her we ofttimes may roam. But our respite we'll find in a pint, maybe 9, in this pub that we call home.
With the raging of aging in my last breath I crave, please
pull up the floorboards and dig me a grave. As you rouse and carouse, pour an ale on the floor. If you listen with care, you may hear me cry more.
Tis this pub that we call home, and from her we oft-times may roam. But our respite we'll find in a pint, maybe 9, in this pub that we call home. Tis this pub that we call home, and from her we oft-times may roam. But our respite we'll find in a pint, maybe 9, in this pub that we call home.